Joe Kirin, ladies and gentlemen, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, thank you. Glad to be here. Glad to be talking to you and spend some time.
When did you arrive?
Wednesday, the 27th
Okay.
of July, last week.
How long are you staying?
Just until Thursday of this week.
Wow, it's a brief visit.
Yeah, I just wanted to, get away for a little bit. I couldn't get away too long. I have to go back, work, play jobs, that kind of thing.
Busy summer. Busy summer.
Yeah, I've been busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did some traveling, went to Baltimore.
What's it like up there in Baltimore? I never was there.
It's the safest city I've ever been to.
Really? Baltimore.
No, but it's great seafood. We went there for a Bratska Zajednica.
CFU, Croatian Fraternal Union.
Yeah, they had their annual festival for kids.
Tambura?
Yeah, Tambura Festival.
Okay,
yeah.
nice.
So we went there for that. Spent some time, great food. It was nice.
How's your health?
My health is good.
Yeah. I must say, you got me worried a little bit. I didn't tell you today when we were eating lunch, but you got me worried when you announced that you were having a dinner with friends. I thought maybe it's some kind of last supper, and I thought you were organizing it for us to say goodbye. I didn't ask you. That wasn't my idea to ask you, but. Especially today when you told me that there were 12 people on your dinner.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You know what though? I had that thought.
Really?
I had that thought that you had. Like, I'm not going here to say goodbye to people, but I am going to thank them. Like, because you don't know when you'll see people again. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. People pretend you always have time, but you don't know what you have. So I just thought, I like to see everybody.
Okay.
Right? And every time I come, I see one or two people and maybe these two people. But I run out of time and I thought, here's a way to see everybody. I know you couldn't make it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was on my vacation, but I wanted to come. But, you got me worried, I must tell you.
But I did have an extra chair for Mickey. So that was kind of like 13.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very lucky.
Yeah. You went to see Zvonko in Serbia?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was great. It was a great energy concert. It was outside festival, old and young people, and he still has a lot of energy.
Yeah, I was
surprisingly.
Amazed. Yeah. I was amazed. He's 80 years old now.
Yeah, but you don't know it. He doesn't know it.
That's the reason that maybe he has that amount of energy, because he's not aware of his years. When we were doing an album with him in 2008, we thought that was it.
You thought, what was it?
That his singing was over.
Really?
Yeah. We thought, every guy in Serbus thought that, Hlebec, when he was listening.
Why did you think that?
Because his voice naturally wasn't the same. Well,
yeah.
It was like in the 80s or the 90s. So.
Yeah. Oh, definitely his voice is not the same. But in that concert, I would say, he still had it. He still has it enough where it's good. You're not thinking about, maybe he shouldn't have sang that. I saw Bon Jovi. Mm-hmm. Have you seen any videos from this guy?
I saw when he was young.
No, but lately,
No.
He should not be singing.
Really?
He should not be singing. He should just stop and hang it up. It's terrible.
How old is Bon Jovi? Bon Jovi.
Maybe in his 50s, but he sings flat.
Really?
Terrible.
So Zvonko is live and kicking.
Yeah.
Nice.
And at the end, he has a big finale, holds the note big, long, and clear, sharp. It was like, wow.
I think he takes care of himself.
I've never known the man. I never saw him drink. Maybe he does, but I don't really see him drink.
No, when we were recording with him, we were together for 2 or 3 days. He never drank anything.
I don't think I ever see him eat meat much. Usually just like salads. You know, clean food, clean food, clean eating.
Yeah. Well, we want him to live for much more.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about, people that maybe know Croatian tamburaši, don't know you, but in America, you're a pretty famous guy in tambura circles. You and I never talked about it, but this opportunity came up and I wanted to talk about your beginnings in Chicago. How did you, get involved in tambura music?
Well, I guess you could say I was born into it.
Okay.
Because my dad played tambura with his brother and 3 other guys. So
what generation of American is your father?
He's kind of first and second, because my grandmother was born here, but at 1 year old, she went back. His father was born here.
In Croatia?
So he's first generation, but technically my grandmother, because she was born in the United States, then he would be like second generation. But for the most part, he's first.
Okay.
And then on my mother's side, she's definitely second generation.
Your mother?
Yeah, so I came in third. Yeah.
How was it like growing up in Croatian families at that time? How did you...
All we knew was, we went to different Croatian events where most of the time my dad was playing. And you would enjoy that, and, just like whether it's some sort of dance or a picnic or something, right? So when I was 9, all those people that were part of those organizations, they created what you call a kud. It was a folklore group called the Sloboda Junior Tamburicans. And it was they put us all in that to learn tambura.
Who was your teacher?
First teacher was a guy named Marty Capugia.
That's some Italian last name, Capugia, or?
I don't know the origin of his name. I believe it was Croatian.
Croatian?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And then he taught the group for, I don't know, a couple years. And then they hired a different guy. That guy's name was Anthony Muslin. And he was also Croatian, but he went to Duquesne University, Tamburicans. And he taught us a lot of different music, international music.
Not just tambura music.
Right. He adapted things. We even did Sly and the Family Stone. He would adapt some song to tambura. Some of it worked, some of it didn't work, but he was very outside of the box in that way. And we would learn maybe themes from a movie, like a movie theme. One was called A Man and a Woman, and we played that music.
Yeah, I think it was a way to keep you interested.
Yeah,
I believe.
I think and I think he was committed that he expanded our minds.
Yeah.
And then from that, I can see today the amount of music I know or familiar with came directly from that. And I see a lot of groups today don't give their kids that chance to just experience all that. We learned Russian music, we learned Spanish music, we learned, sometimes it was just standards from them, but I think it impacted me greatly, and then it impacted me in how I approach music myself later.
And that was Sloboda, that was purely Croatian group?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were there other in Chicago area or some kind of Yugoslavian or Balkan groups?
Most of the Croatian Fraternal Union created their festival, which created a lot of Croatian groups, right? Sometimes those groups would have Croatians, they might have Serbians in them, but for the most part, by and large, they were set up as Croatian groups. So there was probably, when I first started, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 different Croatian groups.
In Chicago area.
Chicago and Northwest Indiana. And they were large. They all had 30, 40 kids in each.
What's the situation like now?
Now, I teach this group that I started in.
Sloboda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 kids.
9 kids.
Yeah.
Well, what's their range age-wise?
Anywhere from about 10, 9 or 10 to 17.
Are you applying any of the methods your teacher introduced to you?
Sometimes. I think I developed came up with my own, from my own learnings was there's a limitation for teaching kids when it comes to what a 9-year-old is able to do versus a 17-year-old.
Yeah, of course.
But they're
It's very ungrateful to have such diversity in one group.
That's what makes it difficult, because the 17-year-olds can certainly take on things at a faster rate than the 9-year-old, right? So you have to try and balance that. So from what I could see is that I'm not going to get all equal players of the same ability, you know. But I think what I try to do is come from also the world of entertainment, to keep people entertained, meaning in terms of what they see on stage. And I teach kids that when they sing, how are they singing? Are they singing as if, in America, a lot of kids don't understand the language, and they're just singing phonetically the words of the song. But I try to get them to at least understand the meaning of the song, so that when they're singing it, they can actually present it. That it creates part of the story that the lyrics are communicating.
How would you say that thing about kids learning? Are there any organized schools or in those folk groups that teach children Croatian
language? There is 1 or 2.
Is there interest for those? Are there interested?
There are 2. There's at least I think 2 schools that people send their kids to, where they go on a Saturday and they learn Croatian language, and they learn more things about the culture. But not everybody sends their kids there.
Oh, okay.
Some do. Usually it's more like first generational people will send their kids to that to maintain their culture.
Makes sense. Yeah. When did you start to think that this tambura thing was serious for you? When did you think you could, When
I was in high school.
High school.
Yeah. Because we'd have rehearsals on Mondays, and I noticed I started looking forward to it. Didn't always look forward to it, I was in a group with 2 of my colleagues, Joe and Nick Gornick, and we would look forward to Monday nights where we start to just try new things. We tried Doors music.
Wow, on tambura.
Yeah.
Nice.
We were let's just try it. And
who played Hammond parts?
We did have a kid played it on accordion.
Really?
Yeah, the song "Love Her Madly" by the Doors, and he did that solo in there, and we played that at a festival.
Oh, nice.
And we even tried to write our own music. We wrote words. They were young people's words, but we still had a song. So that's when it really started to take off. And then when we would go to a festival, then now they would have combos perform for the social. So and you do that, you get nice response from people, and you start to get more interested, and you want to play more, you want to entertain more, you want to do more. So
that was in the 70s.
That would be probably, I would say that was about that really started to kick off 78, 79, 80.
At the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you first started, was there Did you have any permanent engagement in some kind of restaurant, or you played private parties? How was it?
As we started playing more and more, there was a restaurant called Golden Shell in the south side of Chicago that had tambura music every week, Friday and Saturday. And we started to be able to get into that calendar and play there. And then we just as we kept going, we started playing more and more. And then we had more jobs and then more gigs and being able to do it. So, and oftentimes it was at that restaurant, or it might be some other restaurant, although not as frequent as Golden Shell.
Were there many tambura orchestras at that time that were playing? Your father's group?
By that time, my uncle had passed away, and so they were playing less, but there were other groups. I would say, there was different groups, and they were either Croatian or Serbian that played in that general area. Like there was like Krlić brothers. These were some Croatian guys. 3 brothers played together, and Popović brothers was another.
So one. Serbian people were also into tambura music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was big. It was actually very popular there. They'd have the organizations, the Tamburash Association of America, would have their annual extravaganza. They'd have 20 tambura groups come and play from around the United States. 2,000 to 3,000 people would attend. It would go on for 3 to 4 days, and it was extraordinary. It was a great time to be alive and playing in that time.
I can imagine it. How was for the American guys to play tambura at that time? You know, I was thinking about how did you hear about the songs before internet era? You know, how did you come across all the recordings, all the?
Well, mostly we didn't have access. Mostly.
Okay. What does it mean?
Huh?
What does it mean you didn't have access? How did you play that song?
Well, when you started and you wanted to learn stuff, you heard things you would hear, and the father of Joe and Nick Gornick, he would have music and written already for some of this stuff.
So we had a little technical problems.
Yeah.
I was wondering how was it before the internet era? How did you?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
So somebody would have music, or you'd hear people out playing something. You'd get the words, maybe remember the melody, go practice, and so forth. We did have a little bit of music on the radio. But you had to listen at a special time during the week, and many times I wasn't available to listen. And so that you kind of like learned from other people during that time. And a lot of that music was really old. It wasn't new music. It's old music. So and then maybe there'd be when I started to venture out and try to get music that was being made over here, I'd go to maybe like it was an ethnic store that might sell records. And I'd try to look at a record, and I wouldn't know what was good. I'd just kind of look at it and see if it said, "Buy me," you know. And then I would do that way. I think it was, we didn't have a whole lot of access back then. And then eventually it started to give way a little bit. You know, cassettes became a little bit easier to distribute, you know, because they take up less space. And then we'd start to, I think it was around the times of in the 80s, early 80s, when Janko Balić and Osam Tamburaša came to the United States. And they did a few concerts around the country. They did one in Chicago, Pittsburgh, and so forth. And when people heard that music, this was something new to them, because we're hearing American tamburashi and their interpretation of what was that original music. But when it came over here, it kind of changed. It changed it to this different style. It just, you can just hear it was something different. And then when you heard Yannicka in their unique style and their originality, you heard something different. Because nobody played like that. Okay? So then that created a new interest, and then people wanted to imitate that and copy that. And that was the start of it.
But when they came, did they bring recordings with them, or?
No, they didn't. They didn't. It's only later the CFU started to bring groups once a year, right? And then one of the groups that we became familiar with that we liked was Expononia. And they had a record, and we listened to that record, and we wanted to play everything on it. You know, we didn't play everything, but we learned a lot from that. And then it's just kind of like a continuous but slow growth, but steady. You know. And then they brought Slavonski Bichari with Kicho.
Kicho, yeah.
And you saw this entertainment. This is, if you ever saw Slavonski Bichari with Kicho, this was
I didn't see them live.
This was something to see live.
Yeah.
I never saw somebody like Kicho.
What do you mean?
He was pure entertainment.
Oh, okay.
And he was the man for that. You know, he knew how to have an audience, really. You know, and they created little skits and stuff. You know, it was a show. They really put on a show. It wasn't just go up and play and then go sit down. It was entertainment. But it was great entertainment because he sang great. And Slavonski Bichari original was fabulous players.
I believe so. What kind of instruments did you play before that era? What kind of did you have instruments from Europe?
No, there were some great instrument makers in the United States.
Okay.
And like the music being different, they made the instruments different too. We used the Gish theme.
Gish theme. Okay.
Yeah.
So you started on Gish theme.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I played an instrument, a brach, from a maker called Perlman, German. And it was a good instrument, and it also, in the United States, the makers would embellish the instruments to have them look great too. You know, they'd put mother of pearl and flowers.
What do you think the reason for this? Because I know when I first saw American instruments, they were completely different. You could say, you know, only by seeing an instrument, you know, that it's preko bare. An instrument, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think might have been probably somebody did it once, and others saw it and they said, "Well, I'm going to make mine," you know, because now they're in competition, right?
Yeah.
So, and maybe I know there were some instruments I saw that were beautiful, but they sounded terrible.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah.
So maybe there was compensation.
Yeah. But I think that people like to decorate stuff they hold dear. I think maybe that's one of the...
It could be, and it's also an artistic expression.
Yeah.
You know, because some of it was actually well done. You know, if you really look at it, if you look at my first instrument, there was a lot of inlay work. That's probably really slow and tedious to finish, versus just a plain top.
Yeah.
You know. And then when I saw, well, the other person that influenced me was Jerry Grcevich. He was already playing music in the style that was born over here.
Okay.
But he did it at an extraordinary level. For doing that type of music with the instruments he was doing, he had no match. It was him in the United States.
I wanted to talk about Jerry a little bit later, but we can go. You mentioned it, so let's go and talk about Jerry. I think first time I heard Jerry, I didn't believe that this was true, that there's a guy in America who plays tambura that good. I think I read somewhere that you think he's the best tambura player in the world for you. because he plays every tambura instrument really good on the
Yes, that was the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly there was people that could play a basprim great, but that's mostly all they played, or a bass. But he really could, he was above average or excellent on all those instruments.
on all instruments, yeah.
And then back in the day, he made a recording where he recorded all the instruments separately.
Yeah.
A sound-on-sound recording is what they called it back then, and produced this amazing recording. And I couldn't ever understand how he did all the recording and he kept everything in rhythm, and he like really tight, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I just started to, I liked the sound of those instruments. That was ashtin, right?
Yeah.
Now I can't explain what it was, but something sounded brighter to me in that key. So I wanted an A basprim. And then when Expononia came, Vlado Smiljanic, he had a basprim. I don't even care. I want to buy it, you know. And it was a decent sounding instrument, and I got my first instrument from him.
From Vlado Smiljanic.
Yeah.
That was, you know, you were playing for almost 20 years until you got your first European. Yeah? Am I? Or not 20, maybe.
No, maybe 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I started collecting them. And then I had...
How many do you have now?
I had a Begish Contra,
Okay.
3 bass prims, 2 prims, cello. Now I just have prim, 3 bass prims, and Contra.
Okay. Well, it's a decent collection.
Yeah.
Tell me the time that Janika came first to the States, first time to the States, Zvonko came with him.
Yeah.
How was that for you, hearing the guy?
It was just, like I said, they had something different. Up until that point, you only saw tamburashi playing in a bar. You never saw them playing really a concert much.
On the stage.
Yeah, you might see the kids group doing that a little bit, but I never really saw, for me, I never saw until that time them playing like we're presenting a serious concert for you. We're not in a bar and people are walking around and throwing drinks and whatever. It's just really serious stuff. And it just brought an element of class and prestige to it that I didn't see before. There was nothing wrong before. It just, if you were at this level now, it just went to this level, and this level was fine, you know. So that's...
Did you play with Zvonko when he came later in the States?
After he came first with Janika, a woman from Pittsburgh, Vlatka Skons, she decided to want to bring Zvonko here to do a small series of concerts, but it would be using the tamburashi from the United States, which included Jerry, myself. There are also a family of tamburashi that are highly, you know, excellent, called Kosovets, and they're
we'll
from
talk about them a little later.
Detroit. But I'm talking about the fathers, Kenny, Dennis, and Mark. They played too, and then there was 2 other friends of mine, Mishko Jurkovic and Krunožević. And we were what comprised of the American tamburashi that did a concert with Zvonko singing, and we played.
How many concerts was there?
I think early on it was 2 or 3. It could have been more, like in Chicago, Detroit, Pittsburgh, maybe Cleveland was once, and then he'd come again. And then later, we did concerts with Zvonko with Jerry, and there's brothers Ovanin and Brane Pavlović, who played with T-Rroma. with Jerry, and we did concerts with Zvonko, with Brane, myself, Jerry, and the Ovening brothers.
Wow. Well, that's one hell of a ensemble.
Yeah, it was
Great players.
a lot of fun. We learned a lot.
This was in the 80s.
That was, I would say the 80s and yeah, probably the late 80s, a little bit in the 90s, and then, yeah, it's definitely in the 90s, and then eventually I became to meet Momcilo Nikolic, who played cello in Osam Tamburaša.
Osam Tamburaša, yeah.
And he came to Chicago, and we started playing with him. Me, the two Ovenings, Momcilo, and Brane. And we played every week.
Brane was living in Chicago?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No.
I know he was living in Belgium.
Well, they were living in Belgium, and after that, they moved to the United States, to Minnesota. So his family was living in Minnesota, and he came to Chicago and stayed. Momcilo and Brane stayed with me in my apartment for like a couple months.
Oh,
that was a special time.
Have any anecdotes you want to share with us?
Just one time, I out in behind the apartment, Brane would go to smoke on the stairs.
Okay.
And he's sitting on the stairs, and Momcilo's sitting on the stairs, and Brane's upset. Now Brane's in Chicago, but his family's in Minnesota, and he's upset. He's just crying, but I can't understand anything from Brane at the time. I don't know enough of the language, but Momcilo speaks English. So I said, "What's wrong with him?" He's crying because he misses family, you know. I'm like, "Okay, why are you crying?" Momcilo's crying too. Okay. I am crying because he is crying. And I'm like, I'm living in this apartment. I feel like I'm living with two children.
2 children, yeah.
Yeah. But we learned a lot from those two guys.
So they taught you how to play, or did you have rehearsals with them?
They just taught us different things about playing.
Okay.
You know, Brane Pavlović was amazing bass player.
I had an opportunity to hear
his
him play.
Mind,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, he was different. He was very different.
Yeah, he was unique.
Yeah,
you know, as much as Jenna was unique, Brane was unique.
Brane was unique.
Yeah.
Different style of playing.
Oh,
he was,
completely.
Yeah, but you knew when Brane Pavlović plays, you knew that was him. And I think that's one of the most important things in music. You know, to be distinct. You know.
Yeah, he is who he is.
Yeah,
and that's what I loved about him. He used to say to me, he goes, "Joe, music. He would say that all he would feel was music coming out of his skin. You know.
He was one of a kind.
Yeah.
One of a kind guy.
He was a great guy.
Yeah. How did you, tamburaši from States, experience the breakup of former Yugoslavia? Was there something different? You know, did you, I'm not talking politically wise, but, you know, just...
And how it impacted playing,
yeah.
maybe,
yeah.
what you're saying. For me, it was before the breakup, you would have a pool of jobs that you could get gigs for. Some might be Croatian, some might be Serbian or Bosnian, whatever, before the war.
Okay.
After the war, there was this natural, that what came with the war was this divide where that pool of jobs changed. You know, if you almost had to pick a side to see where you're going to play, right? So I love to play. So when jobs would start to change and everything, I felt it was kind of, what do I want to say?
Sad.
Sad, yeah, because it impacted playing. And you had to be cautious. You had to be cautious about what you played and where you played and for who you played. But you also educated yourself, too. I clearly educated myself. I knew where songs came from. I knew who did them. How
before that you didn't.
I didn't pay as much
attention.
I didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Not as much anyway. Dialects.
Okay.
I started paying attention to dialects. So maybe there's some positive things that came out of it, because it's in the form of education from that. And then so then that was how that was during that time. And obviously, you know, the war and its beginning and end is pretty long.
Yeah.
Right? So, but because of the war, many immigrants came to the United States. But most of those immigrants came from Bosnia or Serbia. Not much came from Croatia.
Yeah.
So this created an influx of people, especially in the Chicago area, although there's other areas of the United States where the people went, you know, big groups.
Yeah.
People now that cared about that kind of music and wanted a piece of their home with them, right? They're in a new country now. All of a sudden, there's somebody here that knows the music you love. But that's unexpected for them. They think they're in the United States. They're not going to... Hopefully they have somebody in their group that might do that. So now all of a sudden there's a resource for them for hearing their music that they like or love, and hearing and enjoying it in the way that they're used to
enjoy it back in their native countries.
Yeah. So it was, in that sense, it was kind of like a bridge. Plus, I'm in America now, so that bridge, it's helped. It helps the transition, you might say.
What was the when Šuša and Mario were here on my podcast, we talked about the Dukati's album Hrvatska pjesmarica. When it came out, you know, it was a complete game changer in the reception of tambura music here in Croatia. Do you think that that album or any other album from Ducati had that kind of impact on the American tambura players? What would you say? Maybe not that album, but maybe different one.
I think generally Ducati had a impact on people. They had good music. Hrvoje, you know, he was exceptional, and that was obvious. I can't say it was one album over another, because we were already thirsty. You see, maybe people weren't as thirsty here. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we were already thirsty. So when one came out, we couldn't wait till the next one come out, and we would eat that up and continue.
Yeah.
So it was just anything we could get our hands on, we would just continue and try to do it. But there was a lot of Expannonia fans here, you know. They came before Ducati, so I think they had a little bit. I think they had a little bit more of a nostalgic connection.
Well, I think that's an interesting thing, because I think in general perception of tamburaši in Croatia, much more people know about Zlatni Dukati than Expannonia. We tamburaši know about Expannonia, but it's interesting for me that you're saying that Expannonia, for you American tambura players, had maybe more of an impact than Zlatni Dukati.
I think I know what it is. Maybe a little part of it is we got to know the guys in Expannonia personally, and if we came over here, we would go see them. They would play.
Today, you still
maintain those relationships.
Yeah.
Exactly, but we didn't really get to know the guys in Ducati, not like we knew those other guys. So they become your friends.
Okay, was there some kind of reason?
Kind of what?
A kind of reason why didn't you know the guys from Ducati?
I don't know what it is. If I think back, I remember when Ducati came for the first time. I remember my dad was the kind of like one of the sponsors of that. Maybe I just had, look, when I met Mickey for the first time, we connected, you know, we just connected on a lot of levels.
Maybe Ducati didn't drink as much as Expannonia guys.
I had the experience that I remember going in the back to meet the guys in Ducati, and I didn't get the same experience from them as I got from Expononia.
Was Jože Ivanković there with them?
I met him. It just didn't seem as warm.
Yeah, but because I think that Ducati didn't have Ducati had a manager in Jože Ivanković, but Expononia didn't have a manager. I think that's the maybe a main difference, because Jože Ivanković pulled how do you
he was the hold the reins.
Hold the reins, yeah.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
That could be. And even knew some of the guys, like I knew Tutse, and even Kicho I knew. He had this, I don't know if it was any one thing. I just know that I had warmth from certain people, and I did get it.
You had the warmth from Kicho. Maybe you're one of a kind. Kicho is infamous. God bless his soul, but people in Croatia didn't like him much, because he was a difficult guy to handle.
But here's the thing. I'm meeting him and being with him for a very small amount of time. And in that short amount of time, he was nice, he was cordial to me, and
so
that was okay.
Yeah, that's your experience with him.
Yeah. I don't know what it would have been like if it was much longer. Yeah. And that could be with anybody.
Of course.
Right.
That's interesting, yeah. Expononia guys. How many times did they, I think Jinx stopped counting at like 10.
Well, they came under different names, too. Yeah. The one time they were Pedeset.
That was Mickey, when he and Shusha, divided themselves from the Expononia. That was their group.
Yeah, Pedeset.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had that. And then they had some other basprim player. I can't remember who now.
In Pedeset.
Šljivac played once time.
Šljivac. Yeah. That was in the 90s or when?
Probably.
Yeah. Because I know that Šljivac used to play in one of the first Ducati, how do you call it? Help me. First team, not team, that first.
The first team?
When they got together for the first time, and Šljivac was there in that.
He was?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't know that he used to play.
He came with the CFU for sure. And then, he and Mickey helped create Gazda.
I know that, yeah.
Right? So then Gazda came, but they didn't come as Gazdas. They came as Neki Novi
Klinci.
But in the United States, it came as Neki Novi Dečki.
Dečki.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But Mickey came with them. Mickey had a pretty good relationship with the Lukatiches from...
CFU.
Yeah.
One more thing I want to talk about. What do you think the reception of tambura music in the non-tambura population in the United States is? Do you think that people who are not from the Balkan pool, do you think they know about tambura music like they know about gospel or jazz or Zydeco or Cajun or...
They absolutely do not.
Do not, yeah.
But when they do, they like it. They find it appealing. I've had some just regular American people want to come to jobs and hear us play, enjoy it. They enjoy it. They enjoy everything about it, the instruments, but also the culture behind it and what we're doing behind it. It's hard to deny that when we get together and we do our thing, it's a damn good time.
Yeah. Well, it surely is fun to be around.
Yeah. And people want to be around. People are having fun like that.
Yeah. What would you say the Mecca or Graceland of tambura in the States? Is it Pittsburgh? What's the most famous town or city? Or
I would say, I think it's kind of shifted at different times, but it's been, I would say, probably the most combination would be Pittsburgh or Chicago. But I would say right now, probably Pittsburgh has that edge. But that weight has been kind of like a teeter-totter. You know, sometimes it was Chicago, sometimes it was even, right? And back to 20, 30 years ago, it was probably Detroit was included in there. But not so much today.
Who's from Detroit? Kosovets family?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were
family.
they were from Pittsburgh. Why did I?
The reason that is because the families are from Detroit area.
Okay.
But David and Peter went to Duquesne University, tamburash, and Sonia, the one daughter. And when they were done with college, they stayed there. You know, they were 4 years, developed their friends. They are meeting their wives and so forth, and they stayed there. And David actually, he was in Pittsburgh. His family moved to Canada, and then now in the past, I think a year or two, they moved back to Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Could you say? I think that general public in Croatia and tamburaši don't know much about Duquesne tamburism. What kind of group is that?
This was a group that's been around it was just celebrated their 85th anniversary.
Okay.
And what this was is a group at the university level. They used to be, as they started out, I don't know when they first started out, but for the most part of the time, they were 40 kids in college. And they do maybe 150 shows a year in full costumes. And they would do the music and dances of all over the Balkans and beyond.
Okay.
You know, they do Russian sets, Romanian sets, Serbian, Croatian, Macedonian, Hungarian, lot through Europe. And they would do them professionally. Like, they would look like this was not a...
some cult.
Yeah. This was the real deal. And they did it exceptionally. And what else happened with that is all these kids, they'd lived together virtually for 4 years, because it was 4 years go to college. But when you're doing 150 shows
a year,
and you're spending so much time together, traveling on a bus, and it's people, and all these kids are all from different ethnic backgrounds. They come to grow and learn and respect and identify with all those cultures. And so that's like glue for them. So that's where a lot of performers came out of playing tambura.
Yeah, I know that guy from here, from Croatia, the guy who wrote songs for Oliver, also Zvonko Bogdan, he was in Duquesne.
Yeah, he was in Duquesne too.
Yeah.
He was in Duquesne when Sonia Kosovets was in Duquesne.
Yeah, I don't also think that people in Croatia know much about Zvonko Bogdan, but he's a great author of the songs, you know. So
yeah.
What's your connection with him?
I met Zvonko through Jerry and Miro Škoro in Chicago. And we just got to know each other, and then at some point he moved to Indiana. A friend of his that he went to school with in Duquesne gave him a job in a funeral home.
Really?
Yeah. So he
was in the funeral business.
Yeah, he used to have to go to pick up the
guys.
And bring them to the funeral home. So then during that time, I had him. He came and lived with us at the time I was married, and he came and lived with us. And so we would do things together. He did some recording. There used to be a tambura group called Bodali. He wrote a lot of music for them. He recorded a lot of stuff. He knows very talented with guitar and tambura. So he did a lot of that. And then Oliver had come to the United States for a show. I can't remember the year now, but I wound up talking to Oliver, and he gave me his phone number.
Zvonko Bogdan.
No, Oliver gave me his phone number.
Ah, okay.
Gave me his phone number, okay. Oliver. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I was very happy to have Oliver's phone number.
Oh, okay.
So I was talking to Zvonko, and Zvonko had written a song, right? And I wrote a song, and I said, I think I called Oliver, and I said, hey, my friend wrote a song, and I did. Would you be interested in hearing it? And he said, yes, just send it to me. So he did it, and we got the 2 songs together, and we sent them. And Oliver didn't pick mine, but he picked Zvonko's, and that was Sve bi dal za nju.
Sve bi dal za nju.
Yeah. And then that's where it started, his relationship with Oliver.
Mm. You told me one time, I remember that you when Gibboni and Oliver were on tour in the States, you were involved in some kind of way.
I did, when they were on tour in Gazda, I worked, I was able to be their driver at certain points of it for driving them around.
Okay.
And then that's the time when Oliver and Gibboni performed in Las Vegas. So that was one of the big things that Oliver did there.
When was that?
Geez, I can't remember when that was. I want to say it's around 2013. Well, Oliver was here in 2014. No, it was 2014, because that's when Oliver was in Chicago. He only came once during that time. So it was probably around June, and he had a concert in Vegas. It was big, and he had guests and stuff like that. And
was that with Audijalog group?
Audijalog was there too.
Okay.
Dupini.
Okay. He's Dupini.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were driving Oliver and Gibboni around the States.
Well, mostly the guys, the rest of the guys in the band.
Okay.
And then Gibboni, around this time, Gibboni did a tour also in Chicago and California. So I helped them in Chicago and also California. And got to spend time with, Gibboni, Gibo,
yeah.
Yeah, and it was just delightful. I was happy to do it. And then got to drive Gazda guys around for 4 or 5 days. It's a different way to meet people.
Of course.
Or get to know people.
Yeah. Did you meet Miroslav Škoro when he was in the States?
Yes, again, through Jerry.
Through Jerry.
Yeah.
They were recording their first album.
First album, it was recorded in Pittsburgh, and they had come to Chicago to. They came to a friend of ours' house, Joe Modric, and they were there, and that was the first time I heard that album. It wasn't released yet, but he brought it and he played it, and it was just so. It was amazing. And then the last song that was on that was Ja ću se vratiti.
Ravnica.
And you could hear in the room when we all heard it the first time, after that song was over, we were just like, there's something about that song. You had a sense.
Do you remember any other songs from that album that became hits?
That became Šumi Šumi Javore. Somehow I remember that Moja Dragana. I remember that because I think that was the opening song on it.
I don't know that song.
Don't have me sing it right now.
No, you can if you want. No problem.
But I was wondering, there might be a song or two else that's on there that maybe was Juliška.
Oh yeah. Juliška was on that album.
Yeah. So that was a good opener for him.
Yeah. First time I met you, I met you virtually via Tamburland. I was a young kid just starting to play tambura, and I was maybe involved with that kind of music for about a couple of months, 6 months, maybe tops. And I found out, I was Googling. I was intoxicated with that kind of music, so I was Googling everything I could find, and I came across that Tamburland site, and I didn't know that, you know, there is a large community of tambura players in the United States. You know, I wasn't aware of that. And the guys that I used to play at the time, they also didn't know. So I logged in, I signed up, and I became a part of Tambura Land. And your nickname was Joe Kirin around, if I'm not. Yeah, it was almost 20 years ago. Oh my God. Yeah, the time flies.
So Zvonko Dimter made that site.
Yeah, he was the webmaster.
And I think I wrote a couple articles for it. Wrote some. I'd go to the. When did you say that was?
2003.
Exactly, because I think that was the first one. I was the guest conductor for the CFU festival, and that was 2003 in Cincinnati. So I wrote an article about it, what the experience was like.
Yeah.
And then I wrote about other things after that too. But I remember you. You were Saki.
I was Saki, and I was an idiot. You know, first time I was telling you about today at the lunch that first time when I heard about Peter Kosovets. And I was reading a thread on him, and people were telling that he recorded all the instruments. That was before I knew about Jerry Grcevich. I knew about Peter Kosovets before I knew about Jerry Grcevich. You know, so when people told me that he recorded all this stuff alone, I didn't believe them. I was arguing with them. I was telling you're bullshitting. You know, how is it possible for one guy to record? You know, I was at complete ignorance. So Peter Kosovets is one amazing tambura figure from the States, you know.
Yeah, and he's done not only that, he's written quite a few songs. Some have been used in festivals, and when we came across Otrov's albums here, my friends and I played it all the time. It's great music. That medley album, what's that? I forgot the name of it.
Yeah,
but that was amazing.
Yeah, that was really, I think
was innovative.
Yeah, I think no tambura group from Croatia could record something like that. Right. I'm genuinely telling you that, so I'm not bullshitting. I think that was that's 10-15 years ago for sure.
Yeah, and look, that all had a lot to do with Peter, Zvonko, and Kruno Spisic.
Yeah.
They put together a lot of things. Plus, they used violin in it too.
Yeah. It's one hell of an album.
Yeah, it's very good.
Are there still any large annual gatherings of the tamburashi across the states?
Just one thing back with Otrov is I knew a guy who was he was a sound engineer in Chicago, and he did sound in the studio for a lot of big performers in America. And I let him listen to that Otrov CD. Now he doesn't know the language or nothing, but he thought it was amazing.
It's amazing music.
And if he said if we would have taken certain steps, he would have voted for it to be like album of the year for world music.
Wow!
But it didn't happen. And lots.
Too bad.
Yeah,
it's really great.
But that I'm highlighting that it went beyond our quote borders. You know what I mean? Here's somebody, he's got nothing to do with it. He's at the time he's mixing R. Kelly.
Yeah.
This music's not even close, but he recognized the quality of not only the music and the arrangements, but also the quality of the players.
Yeah, is Otrov still playing?
Huh?
Is Otrov still active? Are they playing?
No, Peter and some of the guys from Otrov play in another band called Ponoć. And a couple of the players from Otrov are in that band, and they have some new players.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was I asking you before? Are there any more annual meetings of the tamburashi in the States now, Corona-wise and COVID-wise? I presume everything stopped for you also.
Oh yeah, I went from playing every week on 2 to 3 jobs to nothing. Virtually nothing. It's come back, but not like it was before. And now so right now there's no restrictions.
Okay.
People can do whatever they want right now.
But you still feel that it didn't come. It's not how it used to be.
No.
Yeah.
And maybe it will, but you know, COVID changed our lives a lot.
Can we talk about tambura groups you were involved? What's the first tambura group that you played?
In kind of like a professional way?
Yeah.
The first group was Sinovi.
Okay.
And we called ourselves that because all of our fathers played.
Okay, to honor them. Okay.
Yeah, and so that we all played together. And that was me, my cousin Steve Kirin also, and then Joe and Nick Gornick played together. And then from that, I played in a group called Slanina.
Bacon.
Yes. Our first record was called Vreme za Špek.
Vreme za Špek. I know that album, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you do? Oh, you have it. Good. That's good to know.
Have it somewhere.
Yeah. In the refrigerator.
Yeah.
And that was with guys I worked with, my regular job.
Really?
Yeah, two of the guys that we played with Zvonko when we did that group, when Zvonko came to the States to play, is Stanojević and Grcevich, but also this Joe Modric that I mentioned before, and another guy named John McKenna. And we played for a number of years together. And then when 9/11 happened, we weren't playing so much anymore, but 9/11 happened, and they wanted to do we did a benefit of all the local tamburashi in Chicago at an American venue. It was really nice. Used to be a really nice place, kind of like a jazz club. It had that feel. You know, it was really cool. So I said, for that, I said, you know, each group had a little bit different styles. So I wanted to do. I put it together that we would do ciganske.
Okay. Gypsy music.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so just for that night, we put that together and played a bunch of gypsy music. And then from that came our name, T-Rroma.
Roma.
Yeah.
That's the time when I found about you. You were playing at T-Rroma. I think. Yeah.
And then I played with our brother Zovanin and my cousin Steve. And then we had cello player Joe Modric and later Ryan Werner. And then we even played with a guy from Sarajevo, Adis Srbubalo, who's actually also a keyboard player. He plays with Dino Merlin.
Yeah.
And even we had violin sometime. At some point, we became, I would say, very, very good. We started to play enough where you know, when you play enough, you start to you gel. Yeah. So that I would say that was my most enjoyable group to play with.
How long did it last?
Well, from 9/11, that was 2001 to 2013.
12 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time for one group to stay together, you know, tamburashi circles.
Yeah.
And after that?
Then it was just, after that I realized, you know, back then people kind of just stayed with the group they played with.
Yeah.
You know, there was enough.
Yeah.
So you did that. And then after that I realized, if I want to play, I got to get who I got to get. I'd get a call for a job, and if the guys weren't available, I didn't take the job. I said, well, I'm not doing that no more. I'm going to play that job somehow. So then I'd call this person, and put together a band.
Yeah, that's like we're doing it here for.
And I've been doing that ever since.
Yeah.
I have a couple guys I play with regularly, but if one of them can't make it, it doesn't stop us.
Like I told you today, I have a pool about like 30 people that I, call when that I know that they can do a pretty decent job playing. So,
Yeah.
And if somebody of them can't play, then I'm in a problem. But, we manage.
Yeah.
paradigm changed. You know, I talked about that with Shusha. In their time, you know, when they were in their prime, they were tambura groups. They weren't so many individuals. Now everything is now individualized.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. You get who you need for the job. Yeah.
That's really interesting for me. Do you now play for both Serbian and Croatian people?
Yeah.
Do you have problems with that?
I don't have any problems.
You don't
with it.
have, but you know what I'm thinking.
I haven't had any experiences with it.
Okay.
On the Serbian side, they know I'm Croatian. They also know I'm American,
Yeah.
and they're kind of shocked
Why?
because they can't believe that somebody from America could know all this music. It's kind of like not shocking, but they'll tell me that.
Yeah. So you're playing a lot of narodnjaci, how to call it, narodna muzika, yeah. But when did you start to play that kind of music?
I think I played it my whole life,
Really?
for the most part.
Okay.
It was always there, you know. But if you were going to play more and be successful, you had to learn a whole lot more. You had to expand your repertoire,
Yeah.
triple your repertoire even.
So did you play that? I was wondering always. Do you play American pop music on tambura?
Sometimes. I don't know if I'd call it American pop music, but sometimes me and the two Gorniks and my cousin Steve, you know, like when you say you have to put together a band, well, we called it KGB.
Okay.
Not because it's
No,
Russian.
It's Russian. It's
Kirin Gornik
Kirin
band.
Gornik band. Yeah.
But, you know, it had a little bit of KGB. Now it's probably not so popular in America. But
In the world, not in America.
yeah, well, yeah. So we will play country music.
Okay.
We might play music like by the Eagles, which is rock music, it's light rock music, you know, things of this nature. We'll play old music. Could even be stuff by the Beatles or Elvis Presley. You know, just different things. Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
You know, whatever
Johnny
works.
Cash. I think Johnny Cash could sound pretty
Ring
good.
of Fire.
Yeah, Ring of Fire.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
It works really well.
What's your experience? What was it like for you to sing in Croatian tambura festival?
That was a
Zlatne žice, Aurea Fest.
yeah. Well, I got to sing a song I wrote, and Damir Bacic wrote the lyrics.
Okay.
And you know, when you're young, when I was young, you dreamed of doing that kind of thing.
You're still young.
You're a good host.
Yeah, no.
To do those things, because I always wanted to be, I either wanted to be a rock star or I wanted to be, not so much that I wanted to be a rock star, it was like I wanted to do what I loved doing.
Yeah.
You know? And whether it was rock music, playing bass guitar, or playing tambura music, I loved doing it. And then being able to do that, there was a great moment for myself in terms of being able to go out and sing like that on a stage with a big tamburica orchestra. They were from Osijek.
Yeah.
I think those guys. What the Batarak, Franjo Batarak.
Yeah. Guys from Osijek, yeah.
Yeah. And then the sound was amazing. Tihomir Ivantic.
Ivanetić, yeah. He was a sound engineer. Yeah, he knows. That guy knows tambura.
Yeah. And I never heard a Begish like I heard in that concert. No, it was like a train was coming through, but like clean, you know. It was amazing sound. And I attribute that to him. So it was just a great moment for me to enjoy in my career.
You think you're gonna do it again?
I think I have to write a song or get a song.
Yeah. Do you have anything in the drawer?
Nothing specific.
Nothing specific.
I've been contemplating, what would I write now? And part of it, I want to, if I want to write something about lyrics, it's more of like a reflection about life and seeing what I've learned and how I see it. You know, I'm just not sure.
Are you reflecting a lot about your life?
I do, and I think it's because of, you know, getting older. I see this, you know, that there's a time in your life when you think you have more time than less, and at some point you wake up and realize you have less than more.
The more, yeah.
But you know, like using Zvonko as an example, I think the thing for me is to discover, you know, what has him still get out of bed to do that.
Did you talk with him about it?
I did not, but because I didn't have a lot of time to spend, at least not this week or not this time around. But that's a good question to ask.
I think it would be interesting for that guy to tell what's getting him up in the morning.
Yeah, what has you get? Yeah, and then
to perform almost every weekend.
You don't have to. You've done it more than 1,000 times, right? Thousands.
Yeah.
And what do I have to look at? Not what do I have to look at, but I'm looking at is what's going to be that for me. And it could be something completely different, right? It doesn't have to be what I've done my whole life. I mean, it makes sense that it might, right? But since we're human beings and we can choose and create anything, maybe there's, you know, that's just kind of where I've been sitting in that contemplation of what's next.
Are you resenting yourself something tambura-wise?
No, I think the only thing where I had any, I wouldn't call it resentment, but doubts was I was in IT, computers.
Okay.
And I'm good in that field. But every time I could have really excelled and made a lot of money in IT. You know, I would be retired today. But every time an opportunity came up, I always asked myself a question. Will I be able to play tambura? And if it was no, I was a no. Right? And so I stuck with playing tambura through most of my career. I just did enough in my career that I could make ends meet and still keep playing. You understand?
Yeah, I understand.
So, but once I saw others that did go down that road and they made money and some are retired today, I questioned, did I make the right decision? Okay? But then when I think about it more, in the end, I can't take anything. You know, you can't take your retirement with you.
No, you can't.
And I was just thinking about all the great moments that I was able to create in playing tambura and experiencing that. And that's what I thought, that's really what's more important is I figured out one day for myself, I don't know about what other people and philosophically think, but I think there's only one reason we're here. And I think that's just to experience life the way you experience it. My way's not right, your way's not right. It's just whatever. You wake up in the morning, what do you want to experience today? Want to experience sleeping? Experience sleeping. Want to go jump out of an airplane and parachute? Then go do it. But you have a choice about whatever that is. And so I made my choices. And I don't regret them. I got to experience a lot in tambura that I never thought I could.
Well, you sound satisfied to me.
Yeah. But there was times when I was uncertain.
I think it's
like,
normal.
did I make the right decisions?
Yeah.
You know, like that.
When we shifted to a little more serious themes, I want to address the thing that I found very interesting and very emotional for me, because you started a no complaints day. That was you remembering your mother.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
My mother died in 2014 in April. And which you might imagine, this is a difficult time. But as the time was going into July, I was on Facebook and I was noticing that, you know, everybody's typing on here and they're complaining and it's not doing anything. What's the end game here? You're just complaining and you're still stuck with your complaints, right? And I thought, wow, what would it be like if people didn't complain? And when I thought about my mother, she got sick on New Year's Day of 2014. And by April 3rd, she died. Now, she went through a lot of ups and downs during that time. Like, she made recoveries and then something come and take it down and then make recoveries again. But I don't remember ever hearing her really complaining about that. She was always ready to take on the next thing. You know, like even the day before she died, she had to get her colon taken out, right?
Wow.
And she was just like, okay, well, I'll do this for my kids. Like, I was almost like I had seen what my mother gone through. I'm like, Ma, you don't really have to do that. Like, you know what I mean? But that's what she did. So it inspired me to say, you know, what if we didn't complain? What if it wasn't an option? Then what would you do, right? So her birthday was on August 12th, and I just said, okay, I'm going to make that day no complaints day. And all it was for 24 hours, no matter what came your way, you couldn't complain about it. Doesn't even mean you didn't have a right to complain about it. Could have been somebody did something that you certainly have a complaint, but the game for the day was you don't complain. And when you do that, you start to see how much of your life is in reaction to something, rather than you having some say. Like, I could react to this or not react to this. Like, you have a choice. Most of the time, people, myself, I'm just reacting all the time. Reacting, complaining. So when I did that, it was an extraordinary experience, you know? And the one thing was, one that stuck with me, so I got some television from that and radio in Chicago, and people would share after they did that no complaints, what was it like for them? And I remember one woman specifically, she said every morning when she got up, her husband left before her, he would make coffee and he would leave the spoon on the counter. And when she got up, it would leave a stain and she'd have to clean that. And she complained about it to herself every day in her mind, and probably to her husband, for 18 years. And she said that morning, I just looked at it and said, okay, that's all it is. And I wiped it up, and all of a sudden the complaint was gone. It was no longer a problem. And it made me think, like, that spoon got in the way of that woman's relationship with her husband. That spoon became bigger than the relationship. And in that day, when she says, okay, I'm just going to let that go and wipe it up, it changed her relationship with her husband. So that was remarkable to me.
Yeah.
And then when you play the game of not complaining, you start to see how much you're complaining. And it doesn't do anything except give you more complaints. There's no reward you get.
Yeah. So would you say you stopped complaining at all, or?
I would say I'm more selective about what I complain about. I'm not without complaints. I have complaints, for sure. But I can choose what I want to do, what needs to be complained about or not. You know, is this worth my time?
Yeah.
Something like that. Right.
It's nice. Are you continuing in that story, that legacy of your mother?
We still do it.
Yeah.
I didn't have it grow into some national
of course.
thing, but you know, we do it. We honor it. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I think that's really nice. I would like to thank you for coming to my little podcast. I enjoyed every minute of it. So I think that it was okay for you to do this.
Thank you. It was nice. I enjoyed it. I didn't even notice the time going. It was just felt like,
I don't know, I think 1 hour and a half, maybe more.
I don't even know.
Yeah, we'll see. You're coming back to the States when?
Thursday.
Thursday. Do you have any plans for coming again?
Yeah. I'm going to come again.
Okay.
I think that's, you know, years ago, the first time I came was 76, then 86.
Really, 10 years apart.
Yeah. Then 95. That's another 10 years. Then 97. And then from that 97 until 2013. Right? It's a long time.
Yeah.
And then 18, 19, and now 22. I find it easier. Just come more frequently, but maybe you don't have to go for 3 weeks every time.
Yeah.
You know, make it a little shorter and more frequently. So
every time you come, I enjoy spending my time with you.
Same here. And like last time when I was here in the 2019, that was when they have that Sveti Martine. Martine. And I'd never experienced that before. See, another thing, experience, and that was amazing. You know, I walked around with my family, a guy dressed up as a priest. He's not a priest.
Yeah, of course.
Then we have to bless the wine, you know. Come on, let's go check that wine out, right? So, and I just love that tradition.
Yeah, Croatians have a lot of opportunities to get drunk, you know. So it's something.
Also, they have their great way of being social.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
even in the neighborhood too, I like that. Because in the United States, we don't even know. It used to be when I grew up, we knew all the neighbors.
Yeah, when I was growing up also, but I think the new trends are now like going.
Now we don't know the neighbors.
Yeah, we don't know.
Last week, the woman's daughter died, 19 years old.
Oh my God.
Tragic. But we don't even know her, you know. And years ago, we would have known.
Yeah.
You know.
Whew. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you.
Awesome.